Hi, everybody. It's the Otafest podcast.
Hooray!
Huzzah!
I'm Jay.
I'm Nancy.
And I'm Angelo.
Before we get any further, we have some news to announce in case you missed it. So we have an announcement to make, a guest announcement to make.
Guest announcements.
Yes.
Ooh.
So you know her as Rini on Critical Role. She's a cosplayer, esports event host, model, and actress. We've got Mika Burton coming to Otafest 2020.
Nice.
Woo!
Yeah, I actually know who Mika is, which I know that sounds really bad, but I don't always know who our guests are because I don't follow everything that there is to
It's
know.
kind of hard to keep up on pop culture considering how big the internet is.
How many forms of pop culture there are.
All
for
I know
example.
about her is I think I know who her dad is.
Yes. Can you guess who her dad is if you don't know, Nancy?
Do I think it is?
Is it Bob?
Is it LeVar?
It is.
It is LeVar.
Yeah.
That must be difficult.
You know,
Like being
I think
like,
it is,
yeah,
but
my
she.
dad is LeVar Burton.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do I be?
But she's
interested?
made. What I'm trying to say is she's made a name for herself
Exactly.
too,
That's
and
Hold
we're
on.
very happy to have her at Otafest 2020. What's up? What's the hold on?
As someone who actually knew who Mika was, but not the fact that, there's that relationship, that's
Right.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, yeah, like that's kind of nice too, right?
She's
Like,
not just LeVar
She's-
Burton's daughter.
Yeah,
Right.
she's self-made, which
She's-
is amazing.
She's really cool and interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we're happy to have her. Hoping that everyone else is excited as well, and come see her. She'll have autographs available. She'll have probably some panels and everything that you can imagine that we usually do with our guests. She'll be there, so it'll be
Can't wait
good.
to meet her.
And of course, you can check her out on Instagram and I think Twitter. Those are her main socials.
Mhm.
Yeah. Otherwise,
Ooh, Artist Alley applications are open.
no, they're
Apparently-
closed actually.
They closed?
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
yeah,
all
I was
done.
gonna say if they're open right now, then not for long.
Oh,
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, they only
Mm.
lasted about 2 weeks, from what I
Wow.
know. We had a record amount of applicants this year.
Wow.
Nice.
Forgive
So-
me, I keep forgetting what day it is. This whole year's kind of just disappeared.
Well, yeah, it's the end of the year, so
It's fine, it's fine. It's
that's
still-
how that works.
It's still
That's how that
2019 for a bit.
works.
When you're listening to this,
It
you
will
have
be.
less than 3 weeks until 2020.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, we received a record amount of applicants at Artist Alley this year. So good luck to everybody because we primarily use a jury system. So hopefully you make it through. But
I am
please be
looking
patient.
forward to your art.
I'm
Yeah.
excited to see Artist Alley again. Last year was incredible. It
Mhm.
was just, everything was arranged so well.
The variety is always really impressive.
Yeah, and you always find something new.
Yeah.
I have no idea what the flavor of the week weeb stuff is, but I'm interested to see what all the artists draw to make money.
You say that like you don't keep up with anime
Yeah.
seasonally
You
and
really-
like you
No,
do-
because I watch so much of it, I don't know what's actually popular.
oh, you're just like
That's kind
this
of
is
a-
trash, but I love it,
This is kind of
Exactly.
a weird first world problem to have,
isn't it?
it?
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Speaking of first world problems to have, if you haven't bought your Otafest pass yet, but you want to get it for slightly cheaper before December 31st, or technically January 1st, you can get your pass online for cheaper, early bird price,
Buy
$50
it
versus
50.
60 at the
before
door.
January 1st.
$50 dues.
Exactly. So
Do not wait for the ball to drop.
don't
Yeah.
you
Get it
dare.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are all our things. Come see Mika Burton, get your pass for cheaper, or give it away as a Christmas gift. I don't know
Ooh,
what you
that
want
is
to do
a
with it.
great idea.
Right? Or if you don't celebrate Christmas, whatever you celebrate, like Kwanzaa or
Hanukkah.
Hanukkah, whatever you want to do, just
Festivus
you
for
can-
the rest of
Festivus
us.
for the
or you can just
Festivus.
give it away because you're a good person.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
You know who I always felt bad for?
Ooh.
People whose birthdays are around gift giving
Christmas?
times, such as
Mm.
Christmas.
Yes.
Because when you're a kid, you're maybe your first couple of presents around the holiday, they like your parents might make the effort to give you like separate gifts, just like this is the time because it's all fresh and nice. But then later on in your life, I think they just always bundle your life events with the general holiday that's coming up, and you're gonna get one gift, and they'll be like, "Oh, but we'll make it a slightly bigger gift," or
To be
that kind of
fair,
thing.
when you get older, the things you want are bigger things.
It's also harder to think of gifts as you get older,
Yeah,
but Yeah, that is something that it is an intimate
It's
feeling for me.
actually a really difficult thing when I think about friend events, like if you're gonna do like a gift exchange, like if you're
Secret
doing
Santa?
like a white elephant or like a Secret Santa.
Mhm.
It's really hard to say, yeah, just bring like a $20 gift, and you're like, what could I possibly get someone my age that they would want for $20
How I think about that kind of thing is that
that
I
they haven't
just-
already bought themselves already?
right. So we're all at a like it'd be something different if we're like in high school, sort of.
Get
Right.
them a big load of Tenga eggs.
But why?
$20 of Tenga eggs.
I don't even know if you can buy Tenga eggs for $20.
Oh,
But
yeah.
anyways, I would say that like generally speaking, if you're gonna buy a bigger gift, I like to buy experiences
Yeah.
for people. That's why like I do think a ticket to something, not specifically Otafest, but if you're like, here's some
Here's
Take-
an interesting experience
to a-
for,
here- yeah,
that
go-
you would never have thought to
go
try.
to the zoo or go see a play or
Yeah.
do something that's just out of
Here's
your
a
normal.
hot air balloon experience.
I would love to do that.
Yeah,
How
I've
much is
never
a hot
done
air
it.
balloon?
I don't. It's not that cheap, but
Hot
it's a
I
great
would
idea.
die.
Air
Why? Why would you die?
balloon.
I'm really bad with heights, actually.
Do you have
Ooh.
is it acrophobia or is it agoraphobia? Agoraphobia.
Agoraphobia is the fear of like
Agoraphobe?
open spaces.
Is
like
it?
the fear of public?
Acrophobia.
Because the agora in the Greek society was like the common
Oh,
area.
it's
the
like-
places
it's
where
acro.
The masses amassed.
I got it right the first time, technically. Acrophobia.
Acrophobia. I learned something new today.
See, I used to have sort of a fear of heights, but I grew out of it. But I do have, and I don't know if it's like a phobia of, because a phobia is like an irrational fear. I have a fear of I don't like unstable things.
Oh, good God!
Hmm.
Yeah,
So if I'm
no,
on like,
that'd be bad.
I don't like being on a bridge that's shaky.
Ooh,
Oh
yeah.
God!
But I don't know if that's a phobia anymore. Does that make sense?
No,
like
it's not a
that's like
phobia.
a this is not a good thing that like
That's
I
a
have climbed,
logical
for example,
thing.
you climb a tree, you're not afraid of being in the tree, but you don't want the tree to be shaking due to
So,
high
like,
wind.
The last time
right?
I visited
Mhm.
my dad in Windsor,
Right.
we crossed over to Detroit.
Okay.
And you have two options. You have the tunnel or the bridge, the Ambassador Bridge.
Oh no.
So we were taking the Ambassador Bridge. This is a bridge that's probably over 100 years old at this point.
Right.
And when I was younger, I never really noticed how bad it was. But last time I went there, the guardrails, half of them were rusted to the point where they were not holding. They were being held by other guardrails.
Yeah.
And they were offering no support.
No.
And I was just like, wow, if something pushed us to the side into
That's
that
it.
guardrail, we'd be swimming back to Windsor through the Detroit River.
And I would also say that when I was a kid, when being afraid of heights as a kid,
Mhm.
I was also like weirdly aware of my fear of heights. So I was like, I'm a kid now, but when I grow older, will I be afraid because I'm taller?
Probably.
Right? Like I'll be like on my everyday basis, I'm like, I am now my visual level is now 5 feet above ground as opposed to 4 feet from the ground.
No, it's very true. It's very true.
It's perspective.
Yeah, it is. But it's also the larger you are, the more it hurts when you fall.
Oh,
like
hell yeah.
when you think about toddlers, they
Oh.
fall like off the end of a couch or something.
Yeah, like I
And
don't think
that's
they
fine.
sort of bounce
Yeah,
actually,
they
right?
kind of do. They're soft and they're squishy, but they're
Yeah.
also very resilient because that's how
Like-
human babies are built. But
If a-
when you think about, falling off of the equivalent of a child falling off of a couch, but as like a 6-foot adult falling off of, like, what would that be? Like you'd be falling off of, I don't know,
Something
a
that's maybe
balcony.
like 6 feet, maybe or something.
Yeah, like a balcony
Well,
or
it's-
something.
Yeah.
Not
And you
even
think about
that.
how much that would hurt.
If like a 4-year-old falls over, their head just fell 3 feet, no big deal.
Not even.
If
I-
an adult human falls over, their head just fell like
But it's
6
it's
feet.
not really it's not about the fear of falling. I think if I like when I really compartmentalized sort of like the fear that I had, it was always like the sort of instability and and I will say that like I'm not like huge in any way, but definitely being like a bigger person who weighs more always played a little part into be like if this bridge is wiggly and I weigh more, like
Yep.
it's like that's not comfortable.
I know
Like
that feeling.
I would like to go in a hot air balloon, but I don't like I don't like gondolas.
Yep.
because
That's
because they swing, and it's like I'm sure engineering wise they're totally safe. I don't really have a problem with that. Hot air balloons, I don't even think have that engineering that I trust so much because they're not even attached to anything. They're literally hot air plus fire plus basket. Like, like I have even less to trust.
Yeah.
So
I
as much as
disagree.
I'd love to do the hot air balloon thing. By the way, it's about it ranges from anywhere from $200 to $400 per person, depending.
Oh wow.
Honestly, I disagree about the gondola versus the hot air balloon thing. The only difference, engineering wise or you're gonna die wise, is that the hot air balloon is higher usually.
No, but I mean literally the gondola is
The
attached.
gondola is attached to a cable.
Yes.
Yeah, the
Which is
cable
attached.
that can snap.
Yes.
The basket is attached to a big ass thing by cables.
Yeah, but I also think that there's
Hell,
more to
the
hold.
hot air
There's more to
balloon has
hold
more
on
than
to
one.
in a gondola.
Do they give you a parachute when you
No.
go up in a hot air balloon?
No, because there's no way they would, because you would have to receive training for that.
Yeah.
You need training to use a parachute?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh wow. I always thought it was really easy. After
I
having
mean,
watched so many
I
movies,
think
you're like, just pull the
essentially it's
cord.
easy.
Maybe for like skydiving, it's more involved because like you can steer those parachutes.
Yeah,
Whereas
plus
for a
you're supposed to
survival
know
situation,
when
it's
But
to
just
do
I
it.
pull the
I
cord and fall right down.
I would also have to think that hot air balloons are actually fairly safe, because I can't remember the last time that a hot air balloon accident really happened that wasn't like close to being ground level and there was like a high wind. Like you shouldn't have gone out there in the first place.
Yeah.
Idea.
Yeah.
But
Good point.
anyways, I do have a funny story about like growing up with a fear of heights.
Uh-huh.
My mom is a lovely person who is not always the most supportive person.
Oh.
She's sort of cynical.
Oh, did she ask you to climb up a ladder and then shake it once you're at the top?
No, I didn't have any issues like that. She would never do that. It was more like, so there was this one time, like I was afraid of heights to the point that if I was in a mall in the second level and there was like, it's a little glass balcony, I was afraid of that level of height. Didn't like it.
Oh, I don't like going by the railing at Chinook.
I don't have a problem with it now. Like I said, I really have put most of that behind me. It's really just like unstable, right? But anyways, so I was a kid and I was like, I was just tired, and my mom knew that I was afraid of heights, but I was like trying to like testing myself, and I tried to like I came up closer to like the balcony, and then she was like, there was once a kid who leaned on the glass and the glass broke and they fell through and died, and I was like,
Well, I'm
why?
back away.
Why would I need to know that? There's no like there's no development of character in this
Did
for me.
you- Okay.
I could not chew her out at the time because
Of
I was like,
course.
I was still probably like only like 7 or 8 years old, sort of like you could talk back, but you're not really, like you're
You're
not
not able
asserting
to-
yourself
Yeah,
yet.
you're not
at
able
that.
to ignore something someone just said to you. Okay,
No.
so two really weird things. I used to work in kind of a wonky postmodern shaped building, and it flared up the higher you went.
Okay.
So at the
Like
very
a
top
torch,
level,
sort of look like?
it was like a 4-story building.
Okay.
So like on the top level, the windows all tilted outwards.
Okay.
So you could ostensibly actually lean onto the glass at like, I'd say like a 30
so
degree
like
lean.
yeah.
And then you'd be looking straight down at the ground 4 floors below you.
Right.
And I never did it, but other people that I worked with had like, done it as like a dare, and they'd be like, oh yeah, that was kind of cool. And I'd just look down and I'd be like, no.
That's no bueno.
Like, no bueno. The
Yeah,
other
yeah.
thing is that not even that long ago, there was a story in the news about a guy who was trying to show off the shatterproof glass in his, like, tower. And I guess he threw himself against this window to show the new coworkers that, hey, this is shatterproof glass, watch me. And he went right through it because he had done the demo enough to people that the glass had weakened. And now
So here. But I have a question about that. Do you remember whether the glass shattered or if the pane just popped out?
I don't remember.
I would love
that's
if
a
the-
very important distinction.
I love the idea that the pane just pops out and it's not and it didn't
Hearing
shatter,
about
right?
that story on something.
Yeah.
And basically what happened was over repeated hits,
Yes.
small fractures appeared in the edges.
Oh.
And so when it's all one piece,
That's
it's
disappointing.
no big deal.
Uh-huh.
And it can take that multiple times.
Uh-huh.
But as soon as like even one little fracture
Oh, it's like
starts, it just spider webs out. Like
yeah, that's
Oh,
like
it's
well,
like
that's how
tempered
glass,
glass.
that's how glass works, sort of. Like if you know anything about what is it, like the St. Andrew's drop or something like that, or any kind of tempered glass.
But I've heard both
Basically,
where
all you
some-
have to do is hit it at a specific point in the structure, and it causes
A St. Rupert's
reverberations.
drop.
St. Rupert's drop. That's what it is.
where you can literally shoot the big end,
Yeah.
but you can like flick the
So,
small end with your finger.
Yeah, if you've never seen it,
It's really cool.
yeah, it's really cool.
There are tons of slow
Not
motion
gonna lie,
videos on YouTube.
It looks like a giant thing of sperm, but no, it does, because it's just like it's got a big like little drop head kind of thing, and then the rest of it's sort of just like this long tail.
Yeah.
And you can literally put that drop sort of in like a pincer, and you can like try and crush it, and it's very resilient, I believe.
I
but
think
the
it
moment
was,
you
Smarter Every Day on YouTube.
Yeah,
Mm.
but if
took
you
out a rifle and shot it.
yeah,
Ooh,
and
cool.
it like it might not even ding it, but if you, I believe if you just like flick the tail or something like that,
Shatters.
it shatters immediately, because the energy that's kind of held in the way that it's been created, all the vibrations just from that one point make the whole structure unstable.
Spoilers. It wasn't the bullet that broke it, but it did break when he shot it.
Huh.
Yeah, that's
It was. Wait, I don't want to spoil it. People should actually go watch it.
Yeah,
Just
people
watch
should
it.
go watch
People
it.
should go
or
watch it.
just
It'll
look
be
Go watch
experience.
Smarter
Go-
Every Day's video on
watch
St. Rupert's
sciencey
drop.
things.
And then send us some comments about what you
Yeah.
thought about it.
watch sciencey things. It's always a good thing. Not sciencey things.
So on the note of like buying people experiences,
Yes.
I think one of the things that I've seen from like repeated visits to Eau Claire recently.
You're clear.
Eau Claire, we've been to the Cineplex that's rather abandoned feeling in Eau Claire lately a lot, and the reason is because we found out that they do all these really cool live screenings of things like plays that are happening over in London. There was one recently just this past weekend, and what they had done is they had done a live performance of Shakespeare's The Winter's Tale, starring Kenneth Branagh and
Branagh.
Dame Judi Dench. She is
Damn,
a
Judi
treasure.
Dench.
She is a treasure, and I loved her performance so much. But,
Damn.
it was a really interesting time because I went with friends who, while we don't like frequent a whole lot of stage plays,
Sure.
we kind of know enough from being exposed to many different types of performances to give
Right.
a vague critique of what was happening.
Yeah.
And none of the critique was really about what the performers did or didn't do,
Right.
or like the stage props or anything like that. There were actually quite a few iconic, beautifully imagined scenes with
Mhm.
lots of very like beautiful images that will probably stick with me forever. But the first half of the play was beautiful. It was full of this beautiful psychological drama and just like dark thoughts. Like it really showcased well what dark thoughts do in a human mind and how they fester and they fester and they become this horrible thing that tears a person and his whole life apart.
Right.
Completely unfounded jealousy that just tears an entire person's, like, his family is taken away from him. He's lost everything.
Good.
And then the second half turns into, "Herp, derp, I'm a peddler who goes around scamming people of all the things that they care about. Doopy-doo."
Okay.
And it's like, okay, what?
We
We went from intense psychological drama to
Yeah.
watching shepherds dance.
the tone just like
The tone
Flipped.
did
Whiplash?
an absolute yes. Tonal whiplash is a really good description. But the part that gets me the most is that at the climax, at the end, the conclusion of the play, they decided to just tell you what happened instead of showing you. The actual end of the play was a couple of guards are talking and they go, "Hey, did you see what happened?" "No, I didn't, but that guy did. Hey, you over there, what happened?" "Oh, well, the prophecy's been fulfilled, and now this has happened, and thus a happy ending." And
Nice.
that was.
It sounds like there
literally-
were
A happy ending.
Yes.
two head scriptwriters that didn't agree with each other.
It was Shakespeare's original play.
Yeah.
Apparently, afterwards, I looked it up on Wikipedia. This has been widely criticized as one of his most problematic plays, and I can see why. It's like he took two pieces of two entirely separate plays and shoved them together in this really
Maybe
awful
he shat out the second half
Frankensteining.
overnight.
Maybe he was really hungover. I don't know.
Maybe it was originally like cohesive, and then like somewhere along the line, someone who hated Shakespeare just sort of like early on in the production process, just like swapped it in for some other crap, and was just like, yes,
It was just so weird to watch.
this will ruin him.
Like just so weird because the tonal whiplash, like you said, Angelo, and then there's just like the most extreme example I've ever seen of telling and not showing. It's like if you'd watched all of the MCU and then right at the very end is just two SHIELD agents talking about how that really cool battle just happened. It was just the most disappointing way to wrap up this very, I think, was intended to be an epic plot about a king and his loss and his weird, like, dark jealousy, which almost ruined him, and then maybe he redeems himself in the end or something. But, like, it just...
So, I gotta say, so...
Disappointments.
Yeah.
Yes?
Can I just ask you a question?
Uh-huh.
How disappointing is it that you will never see your favorite anime again for the first time?
I kind of wish I could watch Kill la Kill for the first time.
Is that your
again.
favorite?
So far, it's been really, really awesome for me. But, like, it's not my favorite.
I just expected it to be, like, a more... it doesn't have to be nostalgic specifically.
No, but, like...
But I just thought it would be, like, more of a classic favorite.
Anything like Studio Trigger has made was always just a rip ride the first time you watch it.
Right.
And then the second time you watch it, you're kind of like, okay, well, I kind of know what happens. And you sort of catch, like, little things.
Yeah.
As you sort of expect the chain of events to happen again.
Sure.
But, I mean, I can't say I've seen all of Studio Trigger's stuff. And, like, I've missed the second showing of Promare.
Sure.
So what I think about is, like, FLCL, I loved it the first time.
Cootie Cootie.
I watched it a million times after.
Oh, man.
When I think about Gurren Lagann,
Gurren
I watched
Lagann.
it 4 or 5 times.
Oh,
and
my
it was
goodness.
great every time, but it wasn't the first time again, right?
Exactly.
Yesterday night, I went and I saw Promare
God damn it, I
at
wanted
Eau
to go.
Claire Theater.
Hey! I missed
And I
you.
just have to say, I just watched Gurren Lagann again for the first time.
Is what it felt like.
Is that what it felt like for real?
I mean, we talked about how they look. Like, they clearly just pulled character
Borrowed.
designs.
It's kind of like they
They
borrowed.
They
on
didn't
the
borrow.
stylistic.
They didn't steal. It's
They
literally
borrowed.
they
Mallow
implemented.
is literally common.
No, but they implemented the character designs that they already had
Yeah,
into
it's
a
borrowing
new
from
IP.
previous series.
It's no different than Kingdom Hearts, for example.
Also,
Oh,
I'm glad you
totally.
mentioned
Right?
Kill la Kill because there's one girl who literally had the same VA as Nono, and she was great. She was only a supporting character, so she wasn't there much, but she was great.
I just realized I don't know what my favorite anime is.
I don't know.
But,
It's kind of hard for
anyway.
me to pinpoint. Like, if I were to watch, I don't.
Promare
oh my
felt
God.
like Studio Trigger kind of coming into their own, especially with style. Like they have style.
Of course they do.
Especially
they have
Imaishi.
style like dripping out the ears.
Like style is their middle name. And with Promare, they just cranked it up to 11. They stopped doing like big, bold black outlines and where half the character is black shadow for emphasis, and they just splashed color everywhere and made it
Color's nice.
amazing. And they got the exact same effect that the black lines got out of it, with the colored lines, and it was a feast for the eyes. And because it's Trigger, aliens, and it's fantastic.
Would
So-
someone who
It's fantastic.
is
Go see
sensitive
Promare.
to lots
what
of
you have to
flashing
do.
lights be able to watch this?
About as much as any other shonen anime.
Okay.
So when I said I don't really know what my favorite anime is, like there's a lot of anime that I've liked, and the truth is there's a lot of different genres as well. So
I would
kinda,
straight up
like,
say you can have more than one favorite anime.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Especially
I
when it
think
comes
you
to
can.
genres and
But like,
things like the medium itself, whether it's like a long form or a short form
yeah,
show,
like
like
if
that
I
kind
were
of thing.
if I were to choose between
Yeah.
favorite Studio Ghibli films, that'd be really hard for me because I have two very opposite spectrum things that I like. I loved My Neighbor Totoro as a kid,
Right.
but I also really freaking loved Princess Mononoke as a young adult.
But so here's the stupid thing I did. I just in Google I typed my search query was favorite anime.
Oh my goodness!
And it showed up
Code
a
Geass
bunch of
is the first one?
Psychopath is
I've
amazing!
never
That's
seen
fair.
It's
I've never seen
good.
Code
That's
Geass
great.
I
or
haven't seen Code
Psychopaths.
Geass yet.
Actually, there's a season
But
of Psychopaths currently
Okay,
airing.
I'm
and
not
it's good.
surprised that
Hold on,
Madoka
hold on.
Magica's on there.
So here's the thing. like I've seen maybe a third of these shows, which is like not too bad. Like there's more,
Ava.
but it just made me really realize that I'm all about the concept, and I sort of don't care that much about the characters, and I sort of don't care that much about the specific
Oh,
storyline
dude, Ergo Proxy's on there.
because
What?
one of the like there's an example on here for me that Eden of the East.
Eden of the East was good.
I
was
really
good.
like conceptually. I really like Eden of the East.
Sean has been trying to get me to watch Terror in Resonance, and we keep.
I don't. I've never even
putting
heard of
that
that.
up. Shirobako is pretty funny.
Shirobako
Is that the
was great.
name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no. Terror. I thought Terror in Residence was the same thing as Shirobako.
Oh no.
Sorry. Like yeah, like I watched some of Paranoia Agent, which is like interesting to me, but like it's all about concept. Like I definitely don't think I have such a thing as a favorite anime.
Someone could ask me if I like Gunbuster or Gurren Lagann better, and I'd be like, "Fuck you! They're both my favorite."
Huh.
Like I like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood
wow,
stuff.
Sword Art Online made it.
Yeah, but I mean it's somebody's favorite
I mean,
for sure.
The concept behind SAO was really great to me. I just think that personally, I feel like the execution failed for me.
No, Sword Art Online.
Isekais need to die.
Isekai's just, you know.
Isekais
does need to die.
Isekais
and Sword Art
are the
Online
next-
Started it.
Yes, they
Isekais
did.
are the next, or not the next, but they're like the current generation of like zombie media,
Yeah.
right? Because like
Yeah.
for the longest time, zombie media dominated
It
the
still kind of does in
It
North
does not.
America.
It does not.
It does
Not
in
in the
North
same way. No,
America.
not in the same way as it used to. Not even close. But like when Walking Dead got like when it was like first, second season,
Yeah.
and like that was when it was already sort of like at its very, very end of its peak. Before that, there was like Left 4 Dead games, lots of
Dead
video
games.
games that were just zombie games.
Last
There
of
was
Us, is that
so
what it
much
is?
zombie shit.
Yeah.
And now we're and in the anime world, it really just translates to right now it's isekai.
Isekai.
Isekai is the flavor of
What do
the
you
last
think
couple years.
will be the next big trend in anime, Angelo? Since you keep up with most current.
Oh, I have a
seasons?
I have a hope for what I want it to be.
Honestly, I'm not gonna predict shit because
My-
I don't read manga. Anyone who's reading manga right now already knows what's going to be produced next season, the season after.
So with
But I would like more soft fantasy
what is soft
or like
fantasy?
low fantasy. Like
Give me one example anime that's low fantasy.
well, technically, the Golden Age arc of Berserk is low fantasy, whereas the Fantasia arc is high fantasy. But something like Dr. Stone, I would say that's... I don't have a really proper term for it. That's kind of where I was going with soft fantasy, where it's not realistic. Because the population's not going to get turned to stone for 3,700 years and then
Sure.
wake up into a natural...
Oh,
but-
it's fucking post-apocalyptic shit.
But
All
something where it's like
post-apocalyptic.
characters working through an unrealistic situation
Right.
in a realistic manner. I love that.
I'm okay with those.
Or even a semi-realistic manner because Dr. Stone. is
I
not
actually
fucking
really
realistic.
enjoyed Bunny Girl exactly for that reason.
I
It
don't
is-
know what that is.
So
Oh, Bunny
Never
Girl
heard of
Senpai?
it.
Bunny Girl Senpai. So the basic setting is that it is the modern world. It's the current modern world, but people going through adolescence manifest.
Is this the real name? Rascal does not dream of Bunny Girl Senpai.
That is
Yes,
the full
that is
name.
the full
It's
name.
ridiculous.
Jesus.
But what I particularly loved
heard it's
about it,
fantastic.
it is fantastic, and I'll tell you why. The premise is like very paper thin, but the execution is great because the characters in those situations behave as real people would actually do. The premise is really silly.
Oh,
The premise is that people going through adolescence will manifest their pre-adolescent stresses in a certain way that like are supernatural. But the actual characters feel real because they react like real humans would when it comes to what would happen if I were to start turning, I don't know, invisible. And no one can see me.
what would you?
including my loved
What kind of
ones.
stupid hijinks would you get up to?
Well,
but
it's
also,
not-
what kind of
it's not
consequences would you
even-
get?
That's not stupid hijinks though, because there's really not that level of comedy to it.
Okay,
It's actually like a handling and a representation
like
of
the
what it's like
consequences.
to go through adolescence.
Okay.
It's basically going through puberty, but it manifests in really weird
Sure.
supernatural ways.
Okay.
Maybe I should watch it, but I remember watching. I gave it the 3 episode test, and I decided that I'd already watched Bakemonogatari, and I wasn't gonna do it again.
You don't like it?
No, it was fine. I just wasn't interested because I'd already watched Bakemonogatari, and I wasn't gonna watch Bakemonogatari again.
Hmm.
And that's what it was. The first 3 episodes were literally Bakemonogatari.
I actually like the. Oh, there was a. I don't think it's actually an entry in the Monogatari series per se, but there's like one called Katana.
Katanagatari was
Katanagatari?
really good.
Yeah,
I loved
it's
it.
completely unrelated.
I loved it
It's
for its.
fantastic.
I love it for its stylization. The
Yeah,
art.
the
The
style.
art is great.
It took me a
Everything
little
about it
bit
was
to
great.
get
That's-
behind the art, and
that's-
it was such good storytelling.
Yeah, but the storytelling is good. The storytelling is a little weird,
yeah,
but it is good. and
it takes you from left field.
I feel like I think it's one of those underappreciated shows that like not everyone will have watched.
Yeah, I haven't heard about it since it aired.
Yeah, like I have never seen, for example, like what do you call it? Fan art of Katana
it?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Not that I can think of, like, all the years I've ever walked through an artist alley, I definitely can't think of anyone who
I've
had
seen like
Katana
2
Gotcha
or
art
3
of it.
cosplay
right?
pictures, I should say, of 2 or 3 cosplayers on. posted
Yes,
online.
I've seen cosplays,
in like the 10
but in a
years
different
since
con.
it's aired.
Yeah.
There's been like 3 threads on 4chan. It is great, and everyone
It's an
who's
interesting-
heard
it's
about
French.
it is like, yeah, that show's great.
It was great.
And
I watched it for the very first time last year, and it was really amazing.
it's great.
Just something about that art style.
Anyone who's listening
really
who hasn't
clicks.
seen Katanagatari should go watch Katanagatari.
Yeah.
Please do, and you'll probably
And
forever
then
love
come
us
talk
for
to us
telling
about
you.
it because we want someone to talk to Katanagatari
Dude,
about.
that's how I sort of made friends early on as a like a weeb,
Mhm.
was sort of finding friends that had watched like the same shows, but a lot of the shows that I was watching weren't really shows that were like YTV or on Cartoon Network or whatever they were airing on, like on national shows or whatever. Like
Yeah.
I watched a lot of shows that were just harder to find. It wasn't like, again, it wasn't like Evangelion levels of popular. Even like, because Evangelion didn't air on TV here, for example, but it was still popular. I didn't get like I watched some of those shows for sure, some of the popular things when in my prime time, my prime.
You
Weeaboo
say
days.
this, and all I'm hearing is, "Don't talk to me unless you've finished Serial Experiments Lane, you filthy casual."
Lane was one of my early shows that I definitely watched.
Same.
Did I just call it?
Oh no. Actually, well, I also watched. I'm not like, and I can't hide it, but I mean, I watched some like harem stuff that was sort of not like seriously.
Oh, Tenchi Muyo.
No,
oh.
not-
If you
not
haven't
like that.
watched Outlaw Star,
Not like
and
that.
Green Greens,
But it was stuff like
don't even think about speaking.
I
to
think
me.
it's maybe more popular now, but I watched it when it first came out, which was people like in English, people know it as Rumbling Hearts, but the Japanese name was Kimiga Nozumu Ein or something like that, or Ein. I don't know how to pronounce that last one. But it was like, or shows like, again, just that people didn't watch yet. Anime was still sort of like, it was becoming popular for sure, but there was a lot of shows that weren't extremely accessible, and like things with like more storyline focused things, not action focused things, not
Mhm.
kids TV shows, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
So that's definitely how I kind of started my early anime bonding, I would say. Lane is a really good one because Lane is a little bit more conceptually beyond what most shows are even now.
Yeah, Lane was special.
Lane can't be repeated, I think.
Lane is definitely one of those animes that you'll never watch again for the first time.
Yeah.
I could probably rewatch it for the first time because my memory is terrible. I
That
haven't
is-
watched Lane.
That is actually a blessing. To
I haven't
have
watched
that
Lane.
memory.
I haven't watched Lane in like
you'll
15
fire it
years.
up and you'll be like present day, present time.
Oh, I
And
remember
it'll
that.
all come flooding back to you. And
The
you'll
thing
see
that
the
I love
girl, her lips move, and then nothing happens,
Yeah.
and you don't hear.
I'll
And then like she falls, and you're like, oh shit.
also
everything's
admit to
going on.
like watching Lane probably 4 times before I really kind of
understood it.
was grasping a lot more of its concepts. But
If
one
it
of the
only took you 4 times, you're like 200 IQ.
but things that like brought me back to a series like Lane was like I really liked the music, and
Mhm.
Oh,
the
yeah.
opening and closing were really nice. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's all the qualities that you would think of when you think about like watching your favorite anime again for like the first time.
Mm.
It's all these notes that like what hooked you, and it's like the music hooks me a lot. That's why I don't really like watching or reading manga that much, because typically doesn't have music, and music really does
that
enhance
audio
the experience for
component
me.
is missing.
Yeah.
That's
Story wise, it's kind of like it's a 50-50, because the truth is anime stories can portray the manga storyline. They just don't for whatever reason. You know, like whether it's fillers or whatever.
So, okay, would you
Would
would you watch with someone
to bring them
that
into
was
anime?
an absolute like okay, so you're saying that one of the greatest ways that you would meet new friends was, you know, a perfect bonding over anime. What would you watch with like a new person that you were dating, that they like, let's say that they weren't
I would take them out
into
to
anime.
Promare.
Really?
I would not.
Promare would be your first introduction to someone that you were dating to anime.
So like again, so let me
If
get
I knew
the.
they
So I
liked
just
anime,
the scenario. No. The scenario is that they don't really know anything about
Yeah.
anime. I'm guessing
Yeah.
they don't. It's not that they've never watched anime, because maybe as a kid they watched some Pokemon or something like that.
Yeah.
But like we're talking low level, easily accessible, commercial level
They're
stuff.
filthy casuals.
But if you're bringing them into like, here's my Crunchyroll account, they're like, I don't know what to watch on the Crunchyroll account, right? And well, let's sit down and watch this.
Yeah.
The first question you would always ask is, what do you normally watch that's
Mhm.
not anime? Because you want to know what their genres
yeah.
are. Everyone has preferred
a
genre.
genre.
Everyone has preferred genres. Like, I don't watch history stuff. I just don't. It's not a genre of mine. But I watch biological stuff. So like, I love biology in general. So a great anime for me, if I were that person,
Cells at
just to start
Work?
off, is Cells at
Cells
Work.
at Work.
That's new. Like it's fairly it's fairly relevant.
It's
fairly
really
educational.
adorable.
It's adorable. It's fun to watch. It's easy to watch.
Mhm.
It knocks a lot of things out of the park in that sense.
Mhm.
But again, you have to be contextually aware of what your partner is into, because
I
if you're
think-
not, you're gonna screw
Then
it
you're
over.
just good. Yeah,
I
Yeah.
think standalone anime movies as like a gateway drug to anime are perfect.
probably because they're short, they're encompassed,
They're
they're well
short and
encapsulated.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
tell
like
a
if
single
It's very
story.
easy and it's very low investment.
Okay.
it depends. Yeah, but okay. So the problem I have with that is, again, it really does depend on who you're seeing, because there's lots of different kinds of anime movies still.
Mhm.
Because
Of
like we're not
course.
talking here's End of Evangelion, right? Like you're not gonna do that. But you're also like, I don't think.
That's just cruel. Giving someone End of Ava as like
Your
an intro to
introduction.
anime?
Yeah.
No.
But it's the difference between a Ghibli film, a sort of one-off film like Summer Wars,
Summer Wars.
right?
Yes.
Or you have a film that's more rooted in reality, like or if you have like slight fantasy to it or something like that, where you have like a Makoto Shinkai film, which is sort of like Garden of Words.
Garden of Words.
right?
Your name.
So like like again, there's different things to appreciate about all of them. Summer Wars is definitely more fantastical,
Mhm.
right? So are Studio Ghibli films. They tend to be more fantastical, but they're also a little bit more Disney-esque children.
Well, they're also very rooted
geared.
in like actual Japanese culture. So if you're not
That
as
can be difficult,
experienced
too.
with Japanese
Right?
culture, you may not
Like-
get
like,
some of those nuances.
A lot of people be
or
like, I love
setting.
Spirited Away, but I feel like Spirited Away isn't exactly everyone's first exposure
I
either
don't know. Spirited Away
to
was...
Japanese culture right off the bat, because there's a lot of things going
Yeah,
on.
okay. There's the whole word play, and then there's
Right.
the whole
Whereas-
the bathhouse concept.
Yeah, but whereas if you watch something like Garden of Words, where it's like, I would say it's a slower movie,
It is much slower. It's a
But-
slower burn.
but you look at it and it's like, it's relatable because
Mhm.
it's rooted in real world.
It's
You
a
don't
human
have any,
relationship
yeah, it's
that
human
you can
relationship,
Imagine yourself in.
and the art is like stellar,
Yes.
right? And then even if you sort of can't appreciate this or this or this, but they might be able to go away with like, oh, like animation. Like you could start off with the point that animation is not just for kids
Yeah.
by watching something like that.
Absolutely.
And then you can show them your hentai collection.
Oh,
At first
that's
you're like-
what I did wrong.
Because you can
going,
show them that animation is a art.
As
And
an
then you
art.
can show them it is rooted in reality.
And
And then you can show them
that
it's not just for kids.
Yes, exactly. Oh man, that's where I messed up.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And then you bring it full circle and be like, big titty is art.
Wow.
Big titty art.
We went there.
Yes, we did.
What else would you do for like perfect weeby dates then? Like, what
So-
would you watch? What would you do? What,
I threw
what do
this
we...
in here just because yesterday, me and Dio,
Mhm.
first
Date? Nice.
Yeah.
Aww.
7 years and it was our first date.
Yeah.
Aw.
I can believe it.
Yeah.
We went for ramen and then we walked over to Eau Claire to
Where'd you
watch
go?
Premiere.
Where'd you go for ramen?
It was Shibuya Ramen on...
16?
No.
No.
Shibuya
Uh,
ramen.
Ramen?
Shibuya ramen's
Fifth
on.
Ave?
I don't like that place very much.
Shibuya
I
is...
found it. I went there once and it just turned out to be very average, like or even slightly below average. I don't know if you liked
the
it.
only Shibuya I
it's
know
good.
is the one
I
next
like
to
it.
Bubblemania.
It's across from a Tim Hortons, sort of. It's close to being
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the one.
I know where it is. I'm not saying don't go there. Absolutely. I just said that the first time I ever went, the
Jay-
only time I went, it was very average, and I hate average food.
Yeah, if it's not the best food in the world, or
If it's not the worst food,
in the world,
I already hate it.
yeah, he actually, if it's just like, yeah, that was fine, he's not happy.
No.
If it was like, oh, that was disgusting, there was
Then
like
I can remember.
mold on the noodles.
Then you
Yeah. Then I
remember.
can
He likes that
remember
better.
that it was terrible.
What was the
So I
worst
won't go.
noodle you ever had in Calgary? The worst.
I've never had bad noodles.
Ever.
Never.
Then you're not
Like
trying hard
actual
enough.
worst.
Okay, what are the worst noodles you've ever had?
Period.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had restaurant food where they've screwed it up that bad.
I've never had it bad, but that's why I still just don't like average because
One
average
time.
average. The problem with average is that you accept average, you forget that it was just average. You're like, oh, I'll go there again, sort of, and it just becomes like it's like mind-numbingly non.
I guess
Interesting.
feeding right into that,
Sorry.
there's only 2 bad restaurant experiences that I ever really remember. One was
Were they both
Taco
here
Bell in
in
Windsor,
Calgary?
Ontario.
Taco Bell
Wow.
barely
And
count.
this wasn't any particular Taco Bell,
It
but
was,
it was 3 different Taco Bells over the course of
So,
about a month.
the franchise
The entire franchise of
The
Taco
entire
Bell.
franchise.
in Windsor, at least.
So we went to one, me and my family. One person had some bad food. I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was bad sour cream or something, or
It was Taco
Ew.
Bell.
it
Just-
was legitimately not safe to eat.
Ew.
We go, me and some of my college friends go to one Taco Bell, and they screw up the order.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And like,
Sure.
not
That
just
happens.
forgetting an order, but getting it completely wrong. It's like, what? How did you even? Who was? And then the third time, and this was the last time that I've actually gone to Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Me and the same college group of friends, we had just done a presentation for some stuff, and we were heading back to the college.
Sure.
One of our friends had a moldy ass gordita shell, like
Ew.
Oof.
not just
Ew.
That
one or
is-
2 specks of mold. It's like,
Yeah.
how the fuck did the person working there even touch this?
Yeah, but they're
Who
like.
would even want to?
Yeah.
And it's like that's it. And the other one, and it's kind of on us for letting the restaurant do this. But so me and a group of friends went to a Boston Pizza. I can't remember which one here in town,
Hmm.
somewhere in the northwest, I think. And the hostess seated us, and we were waiting for a couple more friends to come, and they come after about 15 minutes, whatever.
Sure.
And we're like, okay, the hostess will probably be here, ask for like drinks, give us some menus soon. Or no, we already had the menus. Ask for our order soon. And we waited, and I was like, what the fuck, no drinks? So after about half an hour, we flagged someone down, because we were also talking, we lost track of time. We flagged someone down and say, hey, can we put our order in? And she's like, yeah, sure, we'll find your waiter. 20 more minutes come by. The manager comes out. Apparently, like, they were arguing. They didn't know whose table we were. It was like, why does it even fucking matter? Someone
Serve them.
someone pick us. I don't care. We're here.
Do you want my money or not?
And so we're now 50 minutes into it.
Uh-huh.
The manager says, okay, well, what do you guys want to start? We'll get some drinks and stuff, and we can give you a good deal on the meal because you've been waiting for so, and whatever. So it's like, okay, just get us some drinks. We all put in our drink order,
Mhm.
and he's like, yeah, we'll expedite it with the bar so that you get it out faster.
So that your fountain pop can be poured
20 minutes
faster.
later, we still don't have the drinks even.
You guys are way too.
Oh man.
So
And at this point, it's more like, what are they even doing?
here's the thing. You
What-
guys are way too patient
we should
because
have been out of there like
already.
when the
No.
manager came out and asked us for drinks, we shouldn't have made it that far.
So I recently went to a restaurant.
But then we're like, you know what? No, we're gonna go. We'll
Yeah.
get us our drinks and whatever, and so they actually brought us the bill for the drinks before we even had the drinks.
What?
That's nice. No.
And it was
Class
like,
act.
So here's the thing. I don't
Should
know.
I drink this?
You're
It's paper.
you're way too patient because
No,
I recently went to a restaurant. I went out
At one
with
point,
a couple
it
of
was
friends.
less. This is bullshit, and it's more. How bullshit can this possibly get?
No, like, but you're just wasting your time.
We
like,
were.
it's an absolute waste of time.
We
Like,
ended up going to Little Caesars and having food within 2 minutes.
we went to a restaurant. It was sort of busy. I made a reservation. Like we were seated. We got water. We were waiting. Like we made our order, and then we waited there for like 40 minutes, but we didn't get an update on food. Other people who sat down after us got food, and we're like, well, if the next order sort of isn't ours, like we're leaving, and that's pretty much the end of it. Like, and what we ordered was like essentially like appetizer level food. So appetizers like are things that you're supposed to be able to bang out. Like I don't know.
Yeah, they're supposed to happen
Like,
quick.
The things that like the in terms of like speed, this is what restaurants are able to serve. Any competent restaurant should be able to serve drinks first. Like that's always the fastest because obviously you're just pouring something. Then the next are desserts actually because desserts tend to be pre-made in
And
some way
chilled.
and
You
chilled.
don't have to warm them.
Exactly. So there's very little additional assembly or anything required. Then next are appetizers. Appetizers are like what, like a 5 to 10 minute wait at the most, right? But we were waiting for appetizer level food for like over half an hour. We're like, no, that's out time. Like there was no way in hell I would ever willingly wait for more than that period of time for that level of food. I don't care if it's like gold leaf, truffle, everything, like the most delicious thing you can possibly imagine. At some point, you have to realize that the contract here is that I'm coming here to pay you for food that I want to eat in a timely manner. Like
Yeah.
that's part of the service part. I can't believe anyone would ever waste that much time sitting there, even if you're being incredulous about it, which I like you were, and I'm not saying that you like made a shitty decision.
No, it was
I just couldn't
absolutely
have
our
done
fault
that.
to stay that
I
long.
couldn't have done that.
It was our fault to stay that long without even getting drinks.
Yeah.
I once had a bowl of pho, and it tasted like someone's rag water.
Ew.
And
Was
then
it
I
was it
left.
colored like was it colored fine? Like did it appear
It
fine?
looked like it should have been broth.
Right?
It
Did it
defin-
smell like
It
like
definitely smelled like rag water.
so
It was
nothing
not
about
good.
it other than what it looked like, nothing about it appeared appealing. Is that right?
It looked. Well, I mean, like even the meat, like there was like barely any
Oh,
meat
that's-
on it. It was just like here's some. They already added the bean sprouts in it for us, which
So they
was
had wasted a
weird.
bunch of food.
Yeah, it was just a waste. Like I don't like. I
Did
was
you-
just out of there.
You just walked out?
Oh yeah, I just walked out.
Yeah.
It was
Were you with
terrible.
anybody?
I was with someone.
Okay.
It was just like this tastes awful. We're leaving.
I don't walk out on restaurants a lot. Like I don't want to give off the impression that maybe like any kind of snobbish behavior or anything like
I still
that.
paid. Don't get me wrong. I paid and then I left, but like I barely touched it.
I don't know if I would have paid. I would have
I did.
I would have
I definitely just paid for it and then I left.
I would have brought up the issue and left. Like I would have pointed out why I wouldn't pay. I wouldn't just be like I'm going to die and dash, which is also something that's not acceptable.
Mm-mm.
No, it's not. That's straight up illegal.
I will, however, say that tipping is definitely shit. And this is me, like, my parents, like, don't fucking at me because my parents were restaurateurs. Like, I was raised in restaurants, in service environments.
Mhm.
Tipping is for service that is above average. If you provide average service, what I will provide you with is my money that I was expected to be paying. It's not to say that I have no problem tipping. I'm happy to tip because I'm happy to receive good service. But if you give nothing but the most basic level of service or bad service, you can, like, I will absolutely not tip for that. Like, I don't consider, like, there's no realm of explanation for that. I don't think you need to explain yourself.
Well, I
for
agree
that.
with you that tipping is shit.
Tipping culture is pretty shit.
The problem
Tipping
is
culture
in
is crap.
most parts of North America, the minimum wage for generally tipped positions is way lower
Yes,
to some places being like 30% of regular minimum wage.
I get that. That's not the consumer's fault.
It's not. It's not the consumer's fault.
And this is again me saying that I am very well acquainted with it. I like my parents worked in restaurants. I worked in restaurants for a brief time. I did not want to stay in that environment, like that working environment, so I never actually pursued a restaurant career. But I will say that like I can't justify that kind of expectation. It's just not. I don't think it like, and the faster we can move away from those expectations, the better. Because in countries where you don't have to tip, it's great.
It is.
It's not because
I
like
loved going to Japan. There was no tipping.
I have no problem with paying the money if it means that the person that is eventually receiving the money is getting a livable wage.
Yep.
For even a low level sort of service work.
Yes.
Like I don't care, right? That makes sense, right? Like I don't think it's that controversial, and I do feel for people who are like
Stiffed.
being stiffed by their employers.
Yes.
Here's the problem with all of that kind of stuff. People who like servers and bartenders, for example, who are like pissed at their customer for not tipping should be pissed at your boss
for not paying you.
A
proper living wage.
Period.
Yes, I agree.
You can go to Japan, go to the bar, have a server, have a drink, pay the price, not tip. Everyone's happy because they're still making a living.
Wow, they don't even do tipping at bars out there?
Mm-mm.
I think the only thing you really are ever expected to tip for is sometimes our hotel services.
Yeah. We went to a ryokan and you are allowed to tip. It's not required, but you are allowed to tip the person who will be taking care of you at the ryokan if you want to.
Yes.
But that is not
tipping. Sometimes
not
is seen.
That's expected.
Tipping is sometimes seen as an insult.
Yes.
Because you're
Especially
like,
there.
because it's like.
What you think I need the help?
Yeah, either I need the help or what? Like you think that you can get extra services out of me, sort of thing. Like there's like it sends different messages to a non-tipping culture. But those ways are right as well. Like there's no, I don't think that's an invalid opinion at all. And I think that's
absolutely
right. Like
I agree.
Well, when
but
I
that
was
being
working retail, there were a couple times people were trying to tip me for something, and I was like, "What the fuck is this for?"
That being said,
I'm a reason you don't what?
Like if you go like if you are the employee who is providing above average service in a tipping economy, then sure you should deserve a tip. But if you are just sort of just like, hi, how are you doing? Can I get your drink? Can I get your food? That's it. And like it's like a very robotic sort of like engagement. Like why am I could technically get that from like there's no difference here than me self-serving almost.
Yeah.
Right?
What I really enjoyed about going to Japan is that when you sit down at a restaurant and you give your order and then they bring you your meal.
Yeah.
They also bring you the bill. And there's no rush to leave or anything. They're just expediting the whole having to flag someone down to get you the bill. Like it's really weird when you compare it to our eating culture here where it's like, oh, it's kind of an insult if someone brings you the bill.
Right.
But
yeah, when they bring you the bill, it's like, get out right now.
It's like they want you to get out. But
leave this place.
at the same time, when it's really freaking busy and all you want to do is get your bill and get out, it's like flagging down a server who's busy serving lunch hour rush is really hard.
Right.
And it's and
circumstances are different.
Yeah.
I totally get that
I
too.
really like it when in Japan they bring you the meal and then like a few minutes later they also drop off your bill. Yeah. Like they're not rude about it. They leave it face down so you're not like having to
It's
stare
literally
at it
just
the whole
like
time.
understanding that's part of the procedure anyways, so you might as well
it's
just
here you go, whenever you want, just take the bill up to the front and pay on your way out. And it's just so much easier than having to flag someone down.
Yeah. I apologize to Angelo. I realized that I did cut off your date story. Finish your date story, and then we got to wrap up.
No, straight up. We had some nice ramen.
Yeah.
We just drove downtown, had some nice ramen.
Average ramen.
Went to. It was nice.
Sure. Like I said, I went there.
Ramen in the world.
I went there once.
Was nice.
I went there once, but I just don't think it was exceptional by any means.
And then we headed down to Eau Claire, hung out with a bunch of weebs in the lobby.
Sure. How many people would you say?
Did anyone
full
cosplay?
And there was Austin was there in full cosplay.
They cosplayed as Kamina, but no one could tell.
Aww.
Nailed it. That's a good joke, right?
Nailed it.
Basically.
Perfect.
But there were quite a few different cosplayers there. It was a full house. It was really great. Dio met so many friends there that people that she was like, oh, I didn't know you're coming, but hey, great to see you here.
That's good.
That's always nice.
Yeah.
And that's what going to anime movies is like in these cities.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
It's a very small community, but
exactly.
it's a small community of love.
You know, it's weird because it's still a niche thing, but I mean, like, in Japan, I was there while, they were releasing all sorts of anime movies, and I could have gone to any one of them. So it's kind of weird that that's, like, the norm, and it has to be a niche event here.
I don't think they have subtitles in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
They do have subtitles in Japan. They just also happen probably in Japanese.
Yeah, that would do it.
Right. Anyways, yeah, that's it for this episode. Thank you for listening.
Angelo signing out without subtitles.
See ya.
Bye.